So what I'm going to cover here is how to get documents into your OneDrive for Business. So the first thing you need to do is to navigate to OneDrive from the browser. So the way that we do that is we log in as the user and go to the Office 365 homepage. We then select the app launcher in the top left-hand corner and then locate and select the OneDrive tile. Now that will take us to our personal OneDrive, and as you can see at this point in time, there are currently no files in there. So the very first way that we can get a document in there is we can go up to the new option here and we can go in and create a new Office Online document. So in this case, I've selected to create a Word Online document. It will generate that document for me and it will basically put it into edit mode immediately for me. So I can now go in here and set up any changes that I wish to make for that document. You'll notice at the top here that it also indicates that it is saving in the background. We need to obviously wait for that to complete. We'll see that it now has saved. If we then go back to the user's OneDrive, we will now see that there is a single file in here that we've just created on the fly. Now if I want to go back and edit that document, all I need to do is simply select that. If it's an Office document, it will then again open in Word Online, and from there I can view the document and you'll see that I have the option here to edit in Word on the desktop or edit in Word on the browser. So if I go into the browser option again and I'll make some more changes. Okay, so again we can then see that that's saving in the background there. Okay, so then when I'm finished with that, again I'll save that and that will then take me back to this document. Now what I can do is obviously select this document and then go over here to the top right hand corner and you'll see I get more information about that document. You'll see that I also get a live preview. I'll also get the recent activity and whether that document is shared with anybody. So again, I can basically toggle that preview pane on and off. Now again, what I can do is if I click on this maybe and go in and edit it, this time what I want to do is edit it in Word on the desktop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this file. I do want to run Word on the desktop here. Give that a sec to obviously launch and then load the document for me. Now basically any of the changes that I make in Word on the desktop will be replicated up into the cloud. Okay, so let's go in here and make some changes from the desktop. Okay, and then that will obviously save in the background, but in the top left hand here I'm going to force to save. Okay, so that's going to save and update. I'll close the document on Word on my desktop. Obviously close this and let's go back to my OneDrive. Okay, so let's go back to OneDrive. You'll see it was updated a few seconds ago. If I just drill into that again, we should see that the changes that I made in Word on the desktop are now replicated directly into the OneDrive document. So again, I can keep working on this together. Now, the important thing to remember here is that by default, we are able to co-author documents, which means multiple people can work on those documents together at the same time. Now what I might want to do is rename that document. What I can do is simply right mouse click on that and you'll see here that I can go down and select the option to rename the document quickly and easily. So I can do that with all documents. So that's the first way that we can work on a document in OneDrive for Business. We can obviously create it on the fly. The next option that we've got here is we can go to the upload option and we can select to upload individual files. So what I'll do here is I will select to upload an Excel file. You'll see that it uploads again, takes a few seconds, and by default it's only shared with me. If I want to select it, go in and have a look at its properties, you'll see again that I get an online preview, I get the activity, sharing, and information about that file. So again, we'll see that this is a live preview of the document that we have just uploaded. So it's a very handy option to do. Now, obviously, many people want to upload more than a single document. So what we need to do now is go into upload. You'll see that we also now have the ability to upload a complete folder. Okay, so what we need to do is navigate to that location again, and you'll see that we have a folder here called sales. So if I select to upload that, you'll see that in the top right we get an indication that 7 items are uploading. So we're uploading the sales folder, which includes a number of additional items. So they've all uploaded. Okay, so we finish with that, and you'll see that we have a sales folder here. If we drill into our sales folder, it will show us basically the files that are in there. So if we open this and go in and have a look at our sales folder, again, we can now see that the documents from that sales folder have been successfully uploaded to OneDrive for Business. So again, the way that we can upload files is we can do individual files one-on-one. We can also do whole folders if we want. Now, the other way that we can upload or get documents into OneDrive for Business is what we can do is simply drag and drop onto the browser. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, say, 3 files here, and then I'm going to simply just drag and drop those onto the browser. You'll see at the top, I get an indication that the items can be dragged to any location. I just let them go there, and you'll see that again I get the indication that the 3 items were uploaded, and the page refreshes, and I can now see that the documents that I dragged onto the browser have been uploaded to my OneDrive for Business. Now, another way that we can get documents in here is we can do it straight from the desktop application. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run Word. Okay, so running Word on my desktop, and then what I'll do is I create a blank document. Okay, so I'll call this from desktop. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically save that as, and you'll see that thanks to Office 365, I have the location of OneDrive, my team sites, PC, and a number of other options. But by default, it's going to go to my OneDrive. These are the folders that I have in my OneDrive already displayed in Word directly. So again, what I'm going to do here is simply save as a file name. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is simply save that. That will then automatically save that back to my OneDrive for Business location. Okay, so it's now saved that. I'll just close Word, and then if we refresh the page for our OneDrive, so let's go in here and just refresh that, you now see that I have this document here from desktop which I created a few seconds ago on using the Word edition actually on my local machine. So if I go in there, you'll see that that is exactly the document that I have basically created. So you can do that from all Office applications because they have a direct link, or they know about the Office 365 location, both team sites and OneDrive for Business. So you can also save that directly from an application like Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. Now, the other option that I've got here is I can basically install a synchronization tool, OneDrive synchronization client. You see that I already have that installed on this machine, and that will basically allow me to take a copy of what's on my OneDrive and then sync that down to my desktop. But it also means that I can copy files in there and they will be synchronized. So at this stage, you'll see that I have a OneDrive for Business and a OneDrive Personal. So what I'm going to do here is you'll see that I have elected to pause the sync. So I'm going to resume the synchronization of my OneDrive for Business folder, and what we'll see hopefully shortly is that that synchronization process will kick off. I'll get a little green arrow, and now you'll see the files appear that were in my OneDrive for Business. So these are direct copies. I can upload, I can work on these documents, and they will then be copied basically up to OneDrive for Business. What I'm going to do, just to show you that it all synchronizes, so what I'm going to do is go in and locate a file which as yet I have not uploaded. So let's go in and basically find a file. So here is a PowerPoint presentation. So what I'm going to do is simply drag this into my OneDrive for Business location. So a little blue synchronization icon is happening. That's indicating that it's being synced up to my OneDrive for Business. So let's go in and basically refresh the browser. So again, no PowerPoints here. Let's refresh the browser. And again, what we'll see is that that PowerPoint has now synchronized. Now, what I can do here is if, for example, I go into this Hello World document, which is a synchronized copy on my desktop. Okay, so this is, add some text here, and then when I save it, obviously it's going to save that copy, and then it will then synchronize that up to my OneDrive for Business. So any changes that I make basically will be synchronized up for me directly. So again, makes it nice and easy. And remember that the synchronization time depends on your bandwidth and obviously the size of the document. The good thing about Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Office documents is the synchronization is only done in deltas, so it's not the whole file that's synchronized. But you'll see that this has now successfully synchronized based on our OneDrive for Business in the cloud. Now, once you have installed the OneDrive for Business Sync client, you'll see that you get a folder here called OneDrive - your tenant name. You'll also notice down here that I get an icon that I can right mouse click on, and again, as you noted, I can actually pause the syncing, manage my storage, and control my settings. So again, that's another way that we can get information into Office 365 OneDrive for Business. We can install the synchronization desktop tool and basically copy files in and out, and they'll automatically sync between the local desktop and OneDrive for Business in the cloud. Now, one of the other things that I can do here is I can basically open my OneDrive for Business directly using Internet Explorer, using the file manager. I'm not going to cover how to do that because it's a little bit technical, but you certainly can do that. So you'll see here that I've mapped the location. You look at the URL here, the address is personal, and then the name of the user, OneDrive, and their documents. So now what I can do is I can also take a document. So I go another Windows Explorer, and for this case we haven't got obviously the quarterly costs spreadsheet in there. So if I just drag and drop that in, you'll see that that will now do a direct copy. So this isn't synchronizing, this is doing a direct copy using the Internet Explorer. I have mapped a location to that, and in this case obviously I might need to try again because the internet link's a little slow. So now we can see that our quarterly cost files has been successfully uploaded to our SharePoint location. So if I go in here and have a look, you'll see that thanks to the browser refreshing, that our quarterly costs have been uploaded. So that was a direct mapping to OneDrive for Business from our Windows Explorer. The very last thing that we can do here is we can also go in and map a network drive. So what we do is simply right mouse click on this and we select to map a network drive, and then again, I'm not going to go into the details of how this is set up, but basically we put in the correct string there and then we would simply map the drive. Okay, so now what we've got is we have, looking under our network locations, you'll see that we have a drive letter mapped, and you'll see that that has all the files that we have in our OneDrive for Business. So again, that is yet another way to basically get files into our OneDrive for Business, mapping a network location and then dragging and dropping files into that. So in summary, the way we got files into OneDrive for Business is we firstly had the option to go in and create new Office Online documents and a folder. We can also basically upload files individually or using a whole folder, as we did with the sales. We can also go in and run the desktop application, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. We can also go in and obviously map network locations, and also directly via a web address. Again, they're a little bit more technical and not covered in specifics here. Once we've got our documents in OneDrive for Business, we can select them. We can then go in and look at the information panel so we can see a preview of the document, typically all the details of the sharing requirements. We can again right mouse click on this and we have a menu of options that are available to us. And the final way that we can work with documents is we can elect to synchronize those documents directly to our desktop using the synchronization tool, so that any changes made to the local or from OneDrive for Business in the cloud are automatically updated and synchronized back to our desktop, making sure that we have the same copy in all locations. So hopefully that's given you a better idea of how to get documents into your OneDrive for Business and how to work with them to make sure they're accessible wherever and however you need them. Thank you very much for watching the video.